images are unique. They were filmed right in the heart of the armed terrorist group's safe haven, in the Malian Liptako region, near Niger and Burkina Faso. It is in this area, known as the Three Borders Zone, that the European Special Forces of Task Force Takuba accompany the Malian armed forces into combat. Their targets, grouped to support Islam and Muslims affiliated to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, an emanation of ISIL. Since the announcement by the President of the French Republic about the change in strategy for the Sahel mission, Task Force Takuba has become the center of the fight against terrorism in the Sahel. This is one of the very first times that a camera crew has been embedded in an operation alongside these special forces. The only return on this is to guarantee the anonymity of these commandos, specialized in lightning raids. Unique immersion in the heart of Task Force Takuba. The Bayonne Citadel. This fortress is home to an elite unit, a reference when it comes to counter-terrorism. The 1st Marine Infantry Parachute Regiment, the 1st RPMA. The Defense Journal crews were allowed to meet these commandos a few weeks before a very special mission. In less than a month, they will be deployed in the Barkhane operation in the Sahel as part of the Takuba Task Force. Their mission, to advise, assist, and accompany AAA into combat with the Malian armed forces. To this end, they will be working with the Estonian Special Forces. The temperature throughout the mandate will be about 93 Fahrenheit. In this briefing room, all 30 of the 1st RPMA commandos getting ready to leave for Mali are present. They are working on what is called mission preparation, a detailed presentation of the zone of operations. Religion, demography, geography, partners in theater, potential enemies, everything is presented in detail. This briefing is quite simply about fully understanding the mission, the environment, the country, and our partners. Less than a month from deployment, what matters most to us is to have freedom of action in the theater of operations, to help our Malian partners as much as we can, supported by our Estonian allies, to carry out as many missions as possible, with a view to securing the region and enabling the Malians to operate on their own, so that they will be able to secure the region themselves. We prepare all year for deployment, and when the orders come through, we immerse ourselves in preparing the freight, preparing our equipment cases, doing this mission preparation brief that really enables us to immerse ourselves as much as possible in the mission environment. Security in the Sahel is a wide-ranging problem that affects European countries, and as such, the European countries already participate in providing security in the Sahelo-Saharan Strip. Task Force Takuba embodies the most recent form of this support, and it highlights the real determination of European countries through the deployment of their special forces. The special forces of these partner countries have been brought in to accompany and give confidence to the Malians in the efforts they are making to combat jihadist terrorism. The increase in violence caused by the armed terrorist groups in the Sahel prompted France to bring together its African partners by creating the Coalition for the Sahel, the outcome of the Pau Summit in January 2020. This summit brought new impetus, that of enhanced engagement of European countries in favor of security in the Sahel.
Task Force Takuba
came into being with a political statement made on March 27, 2020, quickly enabling the federation of a certain number of partners who wanted to go further, with efforts being made to date to carry out advisory missions to accompany Malian armed forces into combat, concentrating efforts on the Three Borders region and with a strong French contingent that could further enhance the actions necessary to fight against the armed terrorist groups.
Les activités nécessaires pour lutter contre les groupes armés terroristes.
These armed terrorist groups are mainly composed of GSIM, grouped to support Islam and Muslims, affiliated to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, an emanation of ISIL. Their safe havens, the Malian Liptako region, and that is exactly where Task Force Takuba is deployed, in Ménéka, where the task force headquarters is set up, and also in Gao, in the biggest French military base in Mali. The objective, trap the armed terrorist groups who operate in the Three Borders Zone between a vice grip between two forces. In Gao, we meet up again with the 1st RPMA commandos. This morning, Scott is presenting an urban combat training module, to this new Malian Light Recognitions and Intervention Unit. This unit will soon be going into combat, supported by the Special Forces. We do not go into anything too complicated. As regards the basics, they master them correctly. They are ready and able to use them for their first operations in a month or so. Come on, guys, just like the last time. We're going to reconnoiter the street. We cross the intersection here. Don't forget security to the rear, okay? The rest of you cover the sectors. Most of them speak French, but there's a third of them that speak Bambara, so they like it when we speak Bambara too. It makes them feel that we're with them and that we're going to work with them. How are you going to maneuver? In order to speed up the operational readiness of the Malian soldiers, the instructors can count on experienced NCOs, like this Chief Warrant Officer, whom they listen to attentively. We do this with stones. In this way, when they do it again, it will make it easier for them. And then they will be able to do it perfectly. What's your job?
Chef de section.
I am the squad leader, a bit like their grandfather. I've been in the service for 27 years. He is sort of a mentor for the section. He is the most experienced among them, and that helps us a lot because he will coach the younger soldiers, letting us concentrate on the training and instruction. What's the matter, Chief Warrant Officer? Was he holding his weapon wrongly? He did it wrong. He should hold his weapon like this. Aim at the enemy like this and make a signal with his left hand. It's the small details like this that can cost someone's life. Yes. No, don't put your rifle barrel in the doorway. I take this sector. He covers me, and I traverse and aim my rifle through the window. Got it? And not like this. Why not? That's right. Someone could grab me. On operations, they will have to reconnoiter small villages with real small one-roomed houses. So we want them to master that correctly for a start, to provide security when they cross streets, and then enter a room. And if they can do that, we're happy with their work. Next time you do this, it will be in real little villages with real armed terrorist groups who have real rifles. With this special force training, the Malian soldiers, by the end of their instruction, will have acquired the necessary skills for combat. They will know how to shoot, patrol on foot, or in vehicles, while mastering the rules of topography, combat first aid, and the handling of explosives. Honestly, their level is really quite good. They know the terrain and the enemy really well, because they were born here. So on top of what we have taught them, that makes them really good soldiers. We train the units so they can operate independently. We give them all the tools and assets so they can accomplish their missions on their own. And they are really determined to make a difference in Mali and provide security for their fellow citizens. This specialized training represents one of the key elements of the Takuba mission. But training is not enough. It is also necessary to have the capability of carrying out these demanding operations. The equipment of the Malian armed forces is therefore essential. ULRI 3, 4, and Takuba Battle Group 1 on parade. At your orders, General. The General commanding Task Force Takuba came in person to reiterate the support of France. This equipment contribution from France of 20 Mastech-type pickup vehicles will provide the mobility necessary to carry out quality training with reliable equipment and will provide the necessary vehicles to go on operations with Task Force Takuba. This equipment will reinforce FEMA capabilities, so it's an opportunity to say a thank you to the whole of the French nation. These vehicles provide the agility, mobility, and the speed needed to rapidly overtake our enemy. I'll also mention the motorbikes that are essential to our mode of action, over tracks that are not always accessible to vehicles. This pairing of vehicle-motorbike will make it possible to pursue and hunt down the armed terrorist groups. Particularly adapted to rocky and sandy tracks, these pickups will soon be crisscrossing the Malian Liptako region with the French and Estonian special forces by their side. Within the French-Estonian detachment, the training is over. The night before an operation against the armed terrorist groups, the crews prepare their vehicles. The weapons are checked, the ammunition is counted and supplies loaded. Are these special rations for the operation? They are freeze-dried. We just add a little water. We mix it up and it's ready to eat. And it's good? It's very good, and the advantage, it packs small. And what's on the menu? Chili con carne, aligo puree, and couscous. We're preparing our vehicle. The crew get to work on the vehicle, everyone in their own position, to finish the final preparations, putting the equipment where we need it. And there, I'm adding some grenade launcher rounds, a compact 61mm motor, to be able to get at it, to support the rest of the patrol if we have to. In motorized combat, we prefer high mobility and firepower over armor, to be able to surprise the enemy by having increased mobility due to the fairly light weight of these vehicles. We're equipped in exactly the same way as our FEMA partners. We have to be light and highly mobile, so we can maneuver over all types of terrain. That's why we chose to have unarmored vehicles, so we can benefit from this high mobility and rapidity. The following day, there will be nearly 100 French, Estonian, and Malian soldiers patrolling the Liptako region in the very heart of the jihadist safe havens. Previously, Estonian Special Operation Forces have never taken part in this kind of experience with French Special Forces. This is our first international operation, which Estonia was the first foreign country to join, I may add, where Estonian and French Special Forces work together. Concerning our Estonian partners, it is the first time we have worked together. They're impressive, they're very experienced, methodical, well-equipped. It's a real pleasure to work with them. They're real professionals, and we work well together. The big difference from our previous experiences is that we're not just training soldiers. We go into battle with our comrades, and we carry out operations together. This is not an ordinary training mission. Right up to the last minute, the tactical situation is changing. One briefing leads to another, then another, refining the strategy to be adapted. Inside this restricted access room, French and Estonian special forces make their final adjustments.
All the equipment and the briefing have been done, and so I'll just say to everybody, enjoy some rest, and I hope that our next operation will give us the opportunity to meet some bad guys on the ground. Thank you, everybody.
Were those the last briefings? I thank them all for working and preparing the operation in a timely manner and for having done a remarkable job for today, this evening, so we could be ready, and so that tomorrow we can deploy on our operation with every confidence. What are your expectations for this mission? Find the armed terrorist groups, neutralize them if necessary, and be able to show the local population that the FEMA are here and that they are providing their own security. On the mission day itself, the operation is rehearsed in a sandbox with the latest collected intelligence. For everybody, this is an opportunity to better visualize the maneuver under preparation.
So now they received the operation order, what covers at least the first few days, especially our infiltration phase. So everybody knows who they are together in this phase, and also what is our direction, movement direction.
This is clearly a mission to harass the armed terrorist groups in our zone of operations. So for us, the key elements are clearly stealth, in order to surprise the enemy and to strike fast in any combat opportunity that presents itself. We want our country to be free, freed once and for all. And to this end, we are prepared to give our all. While waiting for the combats to come, the Malian gear up. Because accompanying the Malian armed forces into combat requires logistic support. This is one of the functions of the Task Force Takuba. You've got water for 3 days, but there's more too. That is to say, there are packs that you can keep in reserve for training when you go into combat. A European needs 6 liters of water per man per day. For the FEMA, we calculate between 4 and 5 liters per man per day. I am providing a little bit more water. This will give them an extra water supply sufficient for them to train correctly and always have water available. You've prepared your mission well. Keep security in mind on the way to the zone. And after that, we get on with it. We do our job. Godspeed, everyone. Have a great mission. Look out for yourselves, and we'll see how it works out. Ready for the off, the convoy gets into battle order. Richie, is it always that quiet at the beginning of a mission? Right now, we're in the mindset. The mission's on. Let's get it done. For obvious security reasons, the convoy waits for nightfall before leaving Gao. The operation begins. The convoy will be on the move all night. Richie and Bastien, the 2 commandos in our crew, are very much on the alert. They investigate the slightest gleam of light.
Morgan, tu regardes, tu me dis quand ça bouge.
After a sleepless night, we arrive at the break of the day, in the heart of the Liptako region, in the jihadist safe havens. In this region, that they know well, the Malian armed forces are a precious asset. They have just received intel. The enemy is on the move. Malians, French, and Estonians halt. Together, they work out a plan to intercept the armed terrorist groups. For operational security reasons, we're not authorized to take part in this briefing. With the Malian light recognitions and intervention units in the front line, the special forces modify their route. The hunt begins. Danger could come from any direction, and threats strike at any moment. Stops are consequently frequent, and tensions run high. 7 kilometers away, 2 suspicious motorbikes are on the move.
Là-bas, 200 mètres. C'est bon, il y a 7 kilometers.
The forward elements come under fire from an improvised mortar. The detachment arrives on the scene of the attack.
Ok, feu, droit devant.
In the distance, flames and smoke can be seen. The mortar, round, has set the savannah on fire. The important thing about the troops in contact incident is that there is a motorbike fleeing the scene, but it has been dealt with by the FEMA. Can you tell me what happened?
Donc, il y a une équipe qui s'est fait tiquer.
One of the teams came under fire. The outcome is 2 enemy killed and 1 motorbike captured. Right now we have cordoned off the area because it is possible that there are still some enemy in the wadi. So now the teams are getting into position to search the area to see if any others got away. Once the area is secured, Scott begins to take evidence samples.
Après n'importe quelle phase d'action, on fait une phase de SSE, donc en fait ça consiste à...
After every action phase, we do a SSE, sensitive site exploration. This consists of collecting all the equipment that we can find on the people we have just captured or neutralized.
Analyser tout simplement tout le renseignement qu'on trouve, prendre des photos.
And we analyze all the intel we find, take photos and quickly send all of it to higher commands so as to re-articulate towards other actions or analyze the enemy force, the equipment they use, etc. These neutralizations and the captured equipment make up the initial outcome of the operation. But for Takuba, the day is not over yet. The force gets underway again. To avoid detection, it has to be unpredictable, always on the move. At daybreak, the group approaches a new zone suspected of harboring armed terrorist groups. Once more, the element of surprise has to be maintained.
So I propose that two FAMAS groups are in front. Be prepared to support us and observe with thermal and maybe give us information to suitable locations for ambushes. Over.
And I'm preparing to send out Puma. No copy.
From a high point, the Estonian Special Forces deploy their observation assets. With a range of up to 50 kilometers, this Puma-type drone will be the eye of the Malian forces in the front line. In this acacia forest, suspicious movements are detected. Two individuals on motorbikes appear to be fleeing the area. They are pursued by the Malians.
Sest et see Jimmy on selle report line Echo 1 juures.
What do you find? Two guys with Kalashnikov?
There was some kind of weapons. I believe one was Dragunov, not Kalashnikov. And the other one I don't remember at the moment.
Les deux mecs là, ils avaient des armes avec une moto.
Il a tout enlevé. Il n'y a pas de journal d'appel, il n'y a pas de contact.
The two men apprehended are not simple shepherds. They were carrying two military weapons, a Kalashnikov-type assault rifle and a Dragunov sniper rifle. They laid down their weapons and hid themselves in the bushes. We got them out and retrieved their weapons. We also questioned them to find out if there were armed terrorist groups in the area. Are those their weapons on the ground? Yes, that's right. That's their weapons. It's a sort of basic starter kit for the armed terrorist groups, and the Dragunov is a weapon for someone more experienced, highly ranked. Generally, they all get a Kalashnikov, but when we find weapons like that, it's carried by a guy who's got a bit more experience, and he earned it, we could say. It is not normal that they carry weapons. If you have a weapon here, it means you're considered as a GAT. And how do you feel about having taken part in this mission? It's great for our country. This is our war. Despite the fact that you're here as partners, it is up to us to give ourselves the means. There is some progress. We managed to chase the GAT, armed terrorist groups, out of the area. I am pleased for our partners. I see they are daring enough to work with us, as we are daring enough to work with them. As after each key phase of the operation, Captain Peyo makes his report. In Menica, 400 kilometers away from the ongoing operation, the general commanding Task Force Takuba was able to follow the operation in real time from the command post that unites the 8 European partner nations. The situation is under control. This morning, TG-1 captured 2 personnel and seized Dragunov-type weaponry. So those are interesting things to follow up on the task force. After having patrolled the Malian Liptako region and hunted the terrorists for nearly a week, the mission draws to its end for the French-Estonian detachment. To get back to Gaoa as quickly as possible, a British Chinook helicopter from the Barkhane force resupplies the convoy and relieves it of its quads and motorbikes. The objective here is to lessen the logistic footprint of the troops in the field. So now we're going to evacuate the motorbikes, the ATVs, that's to say the quads and also the parachutes and relatively bulky things. The objective is also to top up with fuel to be able to finish the mission. Once the surplus equipment has been loaded into this helicopter, the convoy can continue on its way to Gao. For these men, exhausted but satisfied with the job done, it is time to total up the successes and pass out the congratulations. From section leaders right down to ordinary soldiers, it was a good mission, and they worked well, they fought well, and have really earned their Eid al-Fitr celebrations. I told them this every day, and I too, I thank you really, really very much. We did it together. We accomplished a good mission. After 6 days in operations, it's a positive outcome because we managed to put into practice everything that we had worked on in training before with our FEMA and Estonian partners. It was really a joint effort, where the European Takuba Special Forces accompanied and assisted the FEMA into combat with good results, a good symbiosis, really professional guys, mutual help. It's a real satisfaction to coordinate all this and to achieve everything that we have achieved. With this kind of commando operation, comprising neutralizations and arrests of jihadists, vehicles and weapons seized, Task Force Takuba plays a capital role in the anti-terrorist fight. In July 2021, Task Force Takuba brought together 8 European nations: Belgium, Estonia, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, the Czech Republic, and Sweden. It is an unparalleled cooperation model, an unprecedented model even, with hybrid procedure, which gets things done differently, just like these special forces do. And all this goes towards one end, the security of Mali, and more globally, the security of the Sahel and of Europe.